Thank you, Mr. Minister, for your time. Could you tell us what you've been doing here in Malta since you've come here? And what are the important issues for Ghana here?
Well, since arriving, of course, we've been attending the foreign ministers' meeting, which is preparatory to the heads. The ministers look basically at an agenda which is to be examined by the heads, and they go through it, if you like, with a view to providing political guidance. It's almost like a sieve. The technicians or officials, first of all, go through those items ranging from migration, movement across Commonwealth countries, problems of human rights pertaining to including the treatment of women, issues to do with climate change, the full range of issues. The officials look at those and prepare a report to the heads. And the heads will examine that. But prior to the heads examining it, political issues arise which need clearance, and the ministers discuss those topics and then will make a recommendation to the head. So that's what we've been doing. This morning there was a preliminary exchange on the question of climate change, which is proving to be quite contentious. As you know, climate change issues have been examined at the international level by ministers of foreign affairs and their officials for quite some time now. And in preparation for the meeting in Paris, which is very important, they have been trying to come to common positions, and those have proven a bit challenging. They worked up to after midnight last evening. Questions of financing, questions of agreeing on targets, and the like.
Okay, did you have a chance to raise the Ghana-Venezuela border controversy?
The Ghana-Venezuela issue is on the head's agenda, and there was a special meeting in the margins of the General Assembly in September in New York, and quite a strong declaration was agreed, was crafted, and the Secretariat didn't feel that they need to revisit it prior. There wasn't a controversy, so that will be something that the head will look at, and they'll decide on whether they want to discuss it again. But there is already a position which is, in our view, quite strong. They may require an update in the course of the discussion, but I don't think that would change it's unlikely to change the declaration radically, I think.
You're trying to get a number of bilaterals in, I gather, with the UK later on today. Could you say what you're trying to get out of those?
Well, we have relations with, of course, a significant number of Commonwealth members, and also we are members of various regional groupings. In that regard, whenever you attend an event like this, you take the opportunity to speak to as many of them as you can, because it is a cheaper way, a more cost-effective way of dialoguing than picking up a team of officials and myself and going off to a country. So those discussions, in many instances, it is to activate joint commissions where we have agreed, for example, that we would have a joint commission to look at collaboration between the countries, and that's one set. In other cases, it is to report progress in relation to those. In some places, we've discussed the possibility of visa waivers, and that hasn't been done yet. And we can deal with the specifics. In other cases, especially in relation to the Australias, New Zealands, and so forth, there are issues. There may be exchange of views on the support of candidatures. For example, IMO candidature was one. There are some of them interested in getting on the Security Council. So there are a variety. We ourselves also have ambitions in that regard, and we will agree that in return for supporting them, they will lend us support. So there are a range of things that we discuss With each country, they all differ, and of course, we will bring them up to date, as most of them do ask where we are with the Venezuela issue.
Could you talk about your support for Mr. Sanders as the new Commonwealth Secretary General?
Sure, what is it you want to know?
Why is Ghana supporting?
Why are we supporting him? Well, as you know, the Commonwealth is at a fairly critical stage of its evolution, and the discussions at this session will look at the future of the Commonwealth, its programs, priorities, and so forth. And I think it is widely accepted it's at a critical point. The new Secretary General is leaving, and therefore it matters very much who is chosen to carry this group forward. And the CARICOM region has been considering the matter. They have not arrived at a consensus candidate. But as you know, Ron Sanders has had quite an illustrious career. He served in the early part of his career as the head of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the youngest one at the time, and the youngest of the managers in the time of Prime Minister Burnham, for example. And he subsequently served elsewhere. So as a Guyanese by birth, we would normally pay special attention to such a person. We will also then subsequently look at their performance and decide whether this is somebody who we can embrace. He has approached us. He's of course the candidate of Antigua and Barbuda, and we have announced that we will lend him our support. There are a number of candidates there, all with different strengths, and in this case, we believe that he's the candidate to whom we should lend our support, and likely to be able to take the Commonwealth into the new epoch.
Okay, in a nutshell, what is Guyana hoping to take away from this meeting in every area?
Well, the meeting is looking at some of the most critical issues facing us in this part of the millennium. You have been discussing in the context of the UN, for example, issues to do with development financing. Those reappear on the agenda here, or dimensions thereof. Debt, for instance, is a major factor here. On the agenda, you'll find discussion on debt environment or debt climate change swaps, for example, because whilst the region suffers severely from debt problems, it has found it difficult to get assistance to finance the debt initiatives that they need. And therefore, that is one of the issues we would be looking at. The environment, of course, climate change, a major issue for Guyana, climate change in all its dimensions, but especially for SIDS, small island developing states, and whilst Guyana doesn't fall into the island category, it has all the other characteristics, including a good part of it lying below sea level, and subject to a variety of phenomena such as El Nino. So environment is very, very important in this regard. We mentioned the Secretary General, but there are a number of issues that apart from the environment has been the subject of discussion for a long time. This initiative that we are discussing now and that will be discussed in Paris next week is the most important in a long time. It takes forward the early initiative in terms of Kyoto. So we would expect significant commitments to be made in that regard. That would help directly Guyana and the other countries in the region. And then there are a range of other issues. There are the institutions and the entities around the Commonwealth that we'll be discussing how to strengthen them. Commonwealth Foundation, for example. They provide technical assistance. They provide support in the area of the environment. For example, they've established the Small States Center of Excellence, which is a place where ideas can be generated and this is something that the region deems very important, and we're looking to see not only its establishment, it will be based in Malta, but the funding, its funding. The Commonwealth Secretariat itself has also been involved in making the plight of the small states more, bringing it on the agenda of the international community. It's been following it since, I would say, the late 70s, and has had a number of fora looking at the plight of small states, the analysis, and so forth. So we would want to see them continue in that area. So that's another reason why we would be here and we'd be participating in the discussions. Then there are the issues of gender violence, gender-based violence, mutilation, all of those social issues also need examining and discussing. So these are amongst the things. And in the end, of course, we would want to see the community pronounce on the sanctity of treaties and the need for countries to respect treaties, and the endorsement of the Commonwealth for Guyana's borders to remain respected by all members of the international community, including Venezuela.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.